Hi and welcome back to Darvanalee Design Studio. For those that don't know, my name's Nicole Reid and today we're here for final assembly of our Halloween mini quilt wall hanging. It is a little bit big to show you, but you get the general idea. I will cut to a picture here and that's what it looks like in its entirety. So let's get started. Okay, so we're here for our final assembly, and I'd just like to say thank you for everybody that has been leaving encouraging comments and have been joining in with the fun. So hopefully you can get this finished in the next day or so. I am not going to do any quilting on this today, but basically once we've got our top finished, you can quilt it however you want to. I'm just going to do simple in-ditch stitching, so I'm not going to film that for you today. All right, so a few things that you're going to need. You're going to need your general sewing supplies, okay? You're going to need a working sewing machine. You're going to need an iron and an ironing pad. You're also going to need your fabric that you have chosen to use for your border and your sashing. Okay, so I am using this gorgeous little Halloween fabric that I have that have little fuzzy spiders and spider webs on it, and the black one is for my sashing and the orange is for my outer border. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what we need. Obviously, you need your blocks with the paper removed, and we'll just talk about now. So grab a pen or a pencil because there is actually no print up for this. I'm going to give you all the sizes that you need and the amounts that you need. As you can see, I've just written it on the side. I will, however, attach a layout for you so you can download that so you've got it and you can take your notes on that. All right, and you'll find that over on our website, and you will see the thumbnail that is on this video over there so you know which one it is, and it'll have assembly written on the front. The fabric that we need to cut today is for our outer borders and also for our sashing and our cornerstones. So we'll start off with our cornerstones, and you can make them whatever color you want, but I'm actually using orange today, and I've just cut it from the spiderweb fabric, which is absolutely adorable. And so they are 1.5 inches square, okay, and you need 10 of those. All right, for your sashing strips, which is your black strips, we need 13 at 12.5 inches by 1.5 inches. So that's 13 by 12.5 inches by 1.5 inches. Okay, so we need 13 of those strips. So once you've got those cut, you can set them aside. Okay, so now for our border fabric. Now you can do this a couple of different ways, and what I've done is I've cut 4 strips, which are 2.5 inches wide, okay, off the bolt of fabric or the width of the fabric. Okay, so if you've got meterage there, you just need to cut 4 strips the width of the fabric, and then you're going to take 2 of those strips and you're going to join them together, and you'll join them on the diagonal. Okay, you can just butt them up together, that's fine too. I tend to join them on an angle when I'm creating long strips, and then I'll just press my seams open. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with taking your straight edges and putting them right sides together like so, and then doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance. There's nothing wrong with that. I've just done mine on the diagonal. So once you've sewn your 2 together, you're going to repeat that with your other 2, and now you have 2 really long strips. Okay, so what we're going to do then is place it on our mat, and we're going to line it up on that edge there, and then we're going to come to the 14.5 mark, and we're just going to grab our ruler and making sure that it's nice and straight and it's lining up properly. We come to the 14.5 inch mark, and we just cut 1 strip off this one. Okay, and then we do the same with our other strip. Okay, now if you've got fat quarters, that's going to be a little bit tricky if you don't have the full amount, okay, because this long edge needs to be 57 inches. Okay, our long strip. So you may need to join several strips together from your fat quarter, and then you will just need to cut some a strip that's 14.5 inches in length as well. So don't forget to do that, especially if you're making your border fabric all the same. Okay, so now that you've got all of your fabric, okay, and I will run through those measurements again for you. Okay, for our cornerstones, we need 10 1.5 inch squares. For our sashing, we need 13 strips at 12.5 by 1.5. And for our border fabric, we need 4 strips of the width of the fabric at 2.5 inches, and then we join them together and cut our top and bottom piece off those, as I just said. Okay, so this is a great time to let everybody know, for one lucky viewer that leaves me a comment down below and or shares over in the Facebook group their wall hanging. Basically, you are going in the running for some fabric. I have 1 meter each of this one and this one, and I also have a coordinating fabric which I seem to have misplaced, and I'll just go grab that, and 1 meter of this fabric here. So that's 3 meters of fabric that I'm giving away. And all you have to do, and this is open worldwide, all you have to do is actually leave me a comment down below, and if you share over in the Facebook group what you have made, you will get a bonus reverse of this, so it'll be black with orange spots, meter fabric. All right, so that is the giveaway for this Halloween. Okay, so once you've got all your fabrics done, and I've done a little bit of prepping off camera, okay, we're going for this layout here. You can mix and match it. You don't have to do it exactly how I've done it. So just set aside everything that you don't need right now, and what I want you to grab is 2 of your sashing strips, and just set everything else aside, and your first block. Okay, so what you're going to do with all of your blocks, so your 4 blocks, we're going to put our side sashings on first. So all we need to do for that, with the right sides touching, is line up our raw edges and pop a couple of pins in to hold it in place, and then we will chain piece all of ours through. Now, as I said, I've done some prep off camera just to make it a little bit quicker of a video for you today. And yeah, so just do that with all of your blocks, and as you can see, I'm just placing them on with the raw edges touching, and I'm just pinning them into place. Now I'm going to head over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to to sew this down. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I'm going to back stitch at the beginning and at the end. Okay, so once you've sewn that down, what you're going to do is you're going to press that out to the dark side. Okay, so give that a press and then set it aside for just a moment. Make sure that you get those seams going out to the dark side. Okay, and that's what your block will look like. Get rid of any long threads that might be in the way that will prove to be a bit of a hindrance. And of course I picked up the wrong piece and it's a little bit longer, so we'll just take that bit off. I knew I had one there longer, and obviously I picked that one up. It's the leftover off a strip. All right, so the next, just set that aside for a second. Now what I want you to do is I want you just to grab your last two strips. Now let me just have a look, make sure that I've got the right seat. That's for the one of the ones that I didn't want to pick up. Where are my strips gone? There we go. I found it now. Okay, so what I want you to do is grab your remainder of your little strips here, and these are where we're going to put our cornerstones on. So basically what you're going to do is just going to put them right sides together, and you'll put one at the other end, and then we're just going to stitch them down. Okay, and when we press these, we're going to press to the dark side, so to the black again. Okay, and I'm not really fussed which way my spiders go or anything like that when I get to sew it on, because they're going a couple of different ways. So I'm just putting them on and yeah, not really worrying about it. Okay, so head over to the sewing machine and stitch those down using 1/4 inch of the seam allowance. Don't forget to back stitch at the beginning and at the end. Okay, so we're just going to clip them apart. You can see there that I've just chain pieced those, because they just bring it, you can just bring them up and chain piece them through, and you will actually have 5 of these once you're done. As I said, I've done a little bit of prep off camera just to make it a little bit quick and easy for us today. All right, so you're going to take your block. Okay, we're going to press these seams to the dark side, which is the black in this case. Get rid of any long threads or anything like that. And for the most part, because I'm working with such small pieces, I tend to just finger press these because it's just easier to do that. Okay, so just quickly finger press those. And as I said, you are actually going to have 5 of these strips. All right, so the first thing that we want to do is we want to take our cat one and we're going to add this strip to it, and we're going to nest up our seams. And I've talked about these pins before in my other videos, the fork pins. They'll be linked down below where you can get them, and they are a double pin that I like to pin when I've got any seams that need to be nested up. I like to use these because I pin on either side of the seam and I just get a better finish. Okay, so if you struggle with your 4 patches or anything like that, maybe think about investing in some of these pins. I just like them because I nest up the seams and then they just stay there. And I also just gently and slowly stitch over them without moving them out, and I have never hit a pin yet. And yeah, I just take it slow though. That's the key to doing that. If you feel a little bit anxious about that, by all means, just remove them. But just keep your needle in the down position and get as close as you can to that pin before you move it. Okay, now I'm doing the top and the bottom of the cat, and I will just show you the next piece. Okay, so this is for our sashing. So the cat, all right, has a top and bottom put on it. And let me just move my layout. And also the bat has a top and bottom put on it, so it looks like this. Okay, and then our last sashing that goes on, okay, goes on to the bottom of our jack-o'-lantern. Okay, so they're all the places that you need to put it. The witch only has the side sashing because she gets connected to the jack-o'-lantern and also the cat. Okay, so just to recap for you, the witch does not have a sashing with cornerstones put on it just yet. Okay, our jack-o'-lantern has one at the bottom and nothing at the top. Our cat has one at the top and at the bottom that we need to sew on. And then our bat has, I'm talking about the cornerstones here, has one at the top and at the bottom. All right, so I'm going to sew the cat one on and then we will start assembling the rest of the quilt. Okay, so once you've done that, remove all your long threads out of the way and take your pins out, and then you are going to press your seams to the dark side, so to the sashing fabric. Okay, and then we are ready to start putting our blocks together. So once you've done all of this, okay, as I said, we have the top one with the cat. The cat and the bat have a top and a bottom sashing, and I'll just press that now. And then the jack-o'-lantern has a sashing at the bottom. So don't forget for that placement. All right, so now we're going to look at doing the borders, just to make it a little bit easier and a little bit less cumbersome for you having to flip it around and everything when you get to the sewing machine. So what I want you to do now is to grab your bat and your cat block. Okay, so what I want you to do now that you have actually done your cat and your bat, so you've got your bat looking like this, and then you've got your cat that has the sashing with the cornerstones on the top and the bottom as well. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add our top border on, and I do this because it just makes it a little less cumbersome for me when I'm at the machine. So grabbing one of your 14.5-inch strips that by 2.5, you're going to lay them right sides together, and basically what will happen is you will line up your raw edges, grab a couple of pins, and you'll put that in place. Okay, and then you're going to take your bat and you're going to, so this one's on the top of the cat, and then with your bat one, okay, and checking what your layout is, so you can see that the bat goes in this direction here, we're going to place one on the bottom. So grab your other 14.5-inch strip and line that up down the bottom. Okay, raw edges touching. I'll turn it around for a little bit ease so you can see. All right, but make sure it is on the bottom. Okay, and then that just gets our top and bottom borders out of the way, and then we only have to deal with our side borders once we're sewing them all together. All right, so once they're all lined up, our raw edges, head over to the sewing machine and stitch those down. Don't forget to do a back stitch at the beginning and at the end, and use a 1/4-inch seam allowance. Okay, so once you've done that, you'll get rid of all your long threads, and now we'll add our blocks together. Okay, so we know that our cat is our top block and our bat is our bottom block. Okay, and we've got our top and bottom borders already on there. Okay, and I'm just going to press them to the orange fabric, okay, because it's going to sit a lot flatter that way, and it's going to make it a little bit easier when I go to quilt it. All right, so you can see there that we've got our bottom border on, and then on this one we have our top border on. Okay, how cute are those little spiders? All right, give them a really good press as well, and just need to make a little bit of room around here. Now, this is not all going to fit on camera, but I will endeavour to show you what I'm doing step by step. Okay, so once you have pressed your borders and sashing and given your everything a really good press, okay, we are going to first take our cat block. Okay, we're going to start from the top and work our way down. So you remember before when I was talking about the sashing that I had already done the pumpkin but had left one off the top. Okay, so we've got on our cat, we have our top border, our top sashing, and then our bottom sashing, and on our jack-o'-lantern we've got our two sides and our bottom sashing with cornerstones. So now what we're going to do is we're going to attach our cat to our jack-o'-lantern. Okay, putting right sides together, and you will notice that there is still a lot of paper on there. I could not find my tweezers, and then I found out that my daughter had them in her bag. So before I started filming this, and it was sort of, I was running out of time, so I just thought, you know what, I will do it afterwards. Hence why I'm not going to be quilting this today. All right, so just make sure that you, actually, I am using my fork pins for this. I just realised then that I put it in and I just pinned it at the edge and didn't really nest the seams. That would have been a catastrophe. All right, sometimes you're just not with it on camera. All right, so once we've got those in place, I don't really have to worry about anything else because these are all cut to the right size. But if you find, because we're starting to work with bigger pieces, that it might shift on you a little bit, just grab a flat pin and just pop one in the center. And when you stitch it down at the sewing machine, if you have your needle in the down position, you can adjust it and it won't move and you won't change your seam allowance, all right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to head over to the sewing machine and we are going to use our 1/4 inch seam allowance, and we're going to stitch all the way along, and we're going to back stitch at the beginning and at the end. Okay, so once you've done that, I'm not going to worry about pressing it at this point, but if you want to, just press it, and just press it to towards the sashing. Okay, so you want to make sure that it goes in. So you can see there that they're now attached. All right, the next one that we're going to do, and this is where I'm going to start running out of room, we want to just get that out of the way as much as we can, and we're going to grab our witch block, okay, which that doesn't have any of the sashing cornerstones on it, and that's because we're adding it to our jack-o'-lantern, which already has it on there. So what we need to do is we need to place this on, and we're going to nest up our seams, and they should nest really well because we have pressed everything to the dark side. Okay, and we're going to use our fork pins again and just line those two up, and then we'll do the same down this end, and then we're just going to stitch just like we did just a moment ago, 1/4 inch seam allowance and back stitching at the beginning at the end, and then we'll be back here. As I said, if you need to, put another pin in into the center and stitch with your needle in the down position. Okay, and then that way you can adjust as you go. Okay, so once you've got that done, there's some of this. Some of it comes out really easy, other times it just won't come out. Anyway, we'll do that another time. I'll do that once I'm finished. I can sit there with it on my lap and listen to a book and get it all out. All right, get rid of any long threads that you'll have in the way, okay? And then once you press it to the sashing like we did before, and you can see that that is matching up really nicely. Now we just need to put our little our bat on. Okay, making sure that you've got it in the right direction, and make sure that you refer to this if that's how you want it to go. And you can put it any way you want. It's entirely up to you. And this bat, you could have it going all different ways. It's not just limited to that one. All right, so again, we are just going to match these up again. So we will just lay that on right sides together, and we will take our seams and we will match them up. Make sure that I've got everything going the right way. All right, grab our fork pins and pop them in, and down this end. And I'm sort of not worrying about anything else at this point. The only thing I'm worrying about is those nesting of the seams, because that is the most important part of this. Of course, you don't want to sew crooked either, but at the same time, this sort of takes care of itself. These do not. Okay, so let's head over to the sewing machine, stitch that down, back stitch at the beginning and the end, use 1/4 inch seam allowance. All right, so that is now all our blocks are sewn together, including our bottom one. Our bottom border is on. So now all we have to do is give this a really good press, and this is when I like to press it. Okay, give this a really good press, and then that way you can add your side borders on next. Okay, so now we're going to add our side borders on. So take your strip, and this is going to be a little bit bigger than your actual piece. Now you want to make sure that you press those seams open, and that just reduces the bulk when we go to quilt it and or put bindings on. So basically what you're going to do now is you're going to take your strip and you're going to go a little bit past the edge at the top there, and you're going to place a couple of pins in, and then you'll do exactly the same thing down the other end. And of course this strip is a little bit bigger, and I made sure that it was a little bit bigger because it just makes it a lot easier to put the borders on. So when you sew down, basically it'll just shift a little bit and you won't have to worry about trying to meet up to be actually really precise. and it helps with squaring up. Now I do apologise, my sound dropped out, so now I'm doing a voiceover for this, so I do apologise if it seems a little bit disjointed to my hand actions, but as you can see it's laying nice and flat, and so we're ready to head over to the sewing machine and stitch it down. When we're sewing, you want to make sure that you do a back stitch at the beginning and at the end, and you want to make sure that all of your raw edges are lining up. So keeping the needle in the down position really works well for this. So once you've got that side on, what you're going to do is you're going to flip it around and you're going to put the second one on, and this is just going to save you some time. So again, you want to make sure that you press that seam open for ease to get rid of some of that bulk, and that's why I like to do my my borders on the 45-degree angle. We line it up again, pop a couple of pins in, and we'll do the same down the other end. And you just want to make sure that you've got enough there that you don't want to be trying to stretch it into place. We don't want that, because that's going to warp your whole project then. And I know that a lot of people do their borders differently. They might start in the middle and then work their way out. I have always done it this way. It is a tried and true method for me, and I really think it's the best way to do it. I find that all my quilts are nice and flat when I get them on the long arm machine, and I don't have to worry about anything. Now if you're struggling with the borders, by all means put a few pins in. I just don't put as many pins in and just work with my needle in the down position so I don't change where I'm going. Alright, again, when we get over to the sewing machine, you want to make sure that you do a back stitch at the beginning and at the end, and you also want to make sure that you're using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, so now we've got that on, what you're going to do is you're going to press your borders, and you're going to press to the orange. So make sure that you have your iron set on a medium to high heat, and you'll press that to the orange, and then we'll square up. Now that we've done that, we need to square up. So grab your rotary cutter and your ruler, make sure everything is laying flat, and remember our strips were 2.5 inches. So what we're going to do is we're going to line up our ruler on our seam, so at the 2 1/4. So you can see there at the top, and also on the vertical as well. And when you look at your ruler, you'll see your 2 1/4 line on your ruler lining up with that seam. So you want to make sure that it's going in the vertical and the horizontal, and you can see that there's no fabric coming out, and then you just take that little bit off, and now that is perfectly squared, and you just keep doing that all the way around. So here you can see we're doing our second one. Alright, so that is the quilt now done. You can see it in its entirety. It was a little bit hard to get it onto camera, but it's turned out really lovely, and I hope that you've enjoyed making it. And hopefully that was a little easy tutorial on how to put your sashing strips and everything in. Alright, that's it. Alright, so that's it for this quilt-along that we've been doing for the month of October. I do hope that you enjoyed your time making the foundation paper piecing blocks. They have been a lot of fun to make, and the final assembly is fantastic. It's a nice, quick and easy one to do, so I hope that you enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see your pictures shared over on Instagram and in our Facebook group. And don't forget to check out this video, because I did mention something about that, so make sure that you find that part of the video. It's a bit of a secret. You need to go and find it, and then you'll be able to do what you need to do to get what you need to get. All right, a little bit cryptic there, but anyway, if you missed it, go back through the video and find it and you'll be right. But that's it from me today. If you have yet to subscribe, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn the bell to all notifications, and then that way you're not going to miss out on any future uploads. But as I said, that's it for the Halloween quilt-along. I will be back again very soon with another great sewing tutorial. Have a great day, everybody. Hope you get lots of sewing in, and I'll see you all again next time. Bye for now.